Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Forrest Lee, and this is Bill Rice. And on the phone, we have the founder, Mike Amos, calling from on his way to Birmingham, I believe. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, and hey, the sun will shine today, it looks like.
Yes, sir.
So that's a huge sunlight this morning, and it's going to be a beautiful day.
You know, I ride in on these cold days, and my windows always get fogged up and have ice issues. And when the sun hits those fogged up, icy windshield, I cannot see anything driving.
No, it's some areas to the east. That east sun is really bright, and it can cause you trouble if you're not careful.
I was coming in on Highway 231 a couple of weeks ago and had this ice and fogging issue, and I had to pull over. And then I was going 5 or 10 miles an hour down the highway because I just couldn't see anything. And people must have thought, "What's going on with this person?" But you're right; it's dangerous.
You know what
Give me a date for today. What is it? What day? What's the date?
September the 17th. It's a Wednesday. February the 17th. February the 17th.
What now?
February the 17th on a Wednesday. I said
And
September.
of course, we had a game, basketball game postponed last night.
Yes, sir.
And, I was looking forward to it, and I reckon a team can just call a game anytime they want to.
Well, that's what they did, and they're scheduled to play. The men travel to Georgia State this weekend to play Friday and Saturday, and then they'll play next weekend at home versus Coastal. So we have 4 games left, the men do, before the conference championship. And the women will host Georgia State this weekend, and next weekend will travel to Coastal, and they have 4 games left. So there's 4 games on the schedule.
That game with Georgia State?
I have not seen anything on the news about it, but they may or may not. But there's a big game in Montgomery, Alabama this afternoon at 2:30. Pike Liberal Arts will play Tuscaloosa Academy. And I remember, they played last year, and going into the fourth quarter, it was real close, and Tuscaloosa pulled it out. So Channel 2, Troy Cable will be there live, and that tip-off is at 2:30 at the Crampton Bowl Multiplex in downtown Montgomery. Also, local, the next closest team, Macon East boys, will play the Escambia boys, and H.T. Fountain, who used to be here in Troy, plays for Escambia, and that's at 5:30. And other games.
H.T. doesn't play for Escambia.
I mean Troy, little Troy.
Troy plays.
Troy's a senior. Yeah, I meant to say Troy. And
I tell you, I'd like to see Troy. He was he was a rambunctious young man growing up.
He was, still is, imagine. But in single A girls, Pickens versus Abbeville. Single A boys, Heritage versus Evangel. Double A girls, Southern versus Lowndes. Double A boys, like I mentioned earlier, Escambia versus Macon East. And in the Triple A girls, it's Glenwood versus Clark Prep. But good luck to Pike Liberal Arts today. They tip off at 2:30. It's a rematch from last year.
Rematch, and as I pointed out a couple of times, if Pike Liberal Arts can get this victory, they would be reigning state champions in all 3 boys major sports: baseball,
and
basketball, and football, all at the same time.
That would be unreal.
I
don't know if that would be a record, but for the Alabama Private School Association, but I doubt if many teams have done that over the years. I don't believe they have.
Nobody has surpassed it, and maybe a couple have equaled it.
I've got their roster, Pike Lib's roster.
And first of all, before you do that, let's go over their coach. Let's let
Sure.
everybody know their coach is a local boy.
Big Matt Brown. Matt Brown played at Charles Henderson. I believe he went to Shelton State. near Tuscaloosa and played for a little bit, and then he finished his career at Troy University. His assistant coaches are Charlie Schofield and Billy Jeffcoat, and Lara Lee Jones is listed as and Lara Lee Jones is listed as a coach on the roster that I pulled from the state website. The tournament actually this weekend, but in the 11th grade at guard, Drew Nelson, Jeff Knotts is a senior, he's a guard. Trey Holmes is a junior, he's a guard. Jay Taylor is a senior, 6'4". Avery Arnsberger is 6'2", he's a senior. Austin Cross, 6'2", guard. Bubba Dean, 6'6", junior. Chad Renfro, 5'11", sophomore.
What grade is that Cross kid in?
He's a sophomore, 6'2".
Sophomore.
He 6'2". Bubba Dean, 6'6". He's an 11th grader. Cade Renfro is 5'11", 10th grader. Javon Christian is a 6'1", 12th grader. Scott Taylor Renfro, 6'2", 12th grader. Andrew Adams, 5'11", junior. Mario Davenport, a 10th grader, 6'2". Payne Jeffcoat, 6'3", freshman.
Dang.
Peyton Jacobs, 6'2", 11th grader. Ryan Barnes, 6'4", 12th grader. And Connor Jones is a 6'4", sophomore.
They're a tall team.
Yeah, and relatively young. They got 6 seniors. And Tuscaloosa Academy has 3 seniors.
Boy, I can Tuscaloosa Academy is the UCLA of the John Wooden era of the AISA. They have been the dominant basketball program for as long as I've been following it.
You got Barry Sanderson as the head coach, and you got Lynn Sanderson sitting next to him in the bleachers. So you got some coaching.
Yeah, and also
Wimp doesn't sit on the bench with it though, does he?
And he goes to every game, though. I know that.
right.
I know he'll be there. He'll be there today, and it's quite a game. Now, who played the game before Pike?
It would be, I think, the AAA girls, Glenwood versus Clark Prep, and they had to adjust some games that were scheduled yesterday. They moved them to some of them today and some of them tomorrow. So they had to do it because of travel.
Because of the weather, yeah.
And I've got, while we're on high school basketball, the Lady Trojans defeated Headland 50-22. They will host Brubaker Tech tomorrow at Charles Henderson. Tip-off at 6:30. The Pike County Lady Bulldogs won in double overtime versus Houston Academy, 58-56, and they will host Montgomery Academy at 6:30. Other area girls that won: George W. Long, Luverne, and Carroll, but the Elba girls lost. In boys, Highland home will play Thorsby at Thorsby. G.W. Long lost, Ayrton lost, Pike County lost, and Charles Henderson lost to Carroll of Ozarks 50-43 last night, so that ends their season.
But what a great year it was, and I want to say that the Charles Henderson team had only one senior on that team.
That is correct. And, of course, Enterprise will host Davidson and Mobile the 19th, but congratulations for the Charles Henderson boys on a great year. I know Doug Branson, the head coach, is disappointed. I think they've kind of matched up well with Carroll. I think they've traded wins this season.
Yeah, that home field advantage really was big for Carroll. The home court advantage.
Yeah, Charles Henderson almost beat Greenville, and they would have had that home field advantage.
Yeah, Greenville won big last night, but so the Lady Trojans are advanced. The Lady Bulldogs have advanced.
So if Charles Henderson girls win, they will go back to state, right?
They'll go to the regional finals, and where that will be, I think that will be another host game, depending on whoever's number one or whoever travels. But this is the round of 16 that they're playing now.
Okay.
So they win, they're in the final 8.
Okay, that helps.
And a little bit of more news, the finals, the semifinals and finals for high school basketball will be at Bill Harris Gymnasium and at University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Okay.
In Birmingham, because the Jefferson, the Civic Center is under construction. And we also have a wrestler who's traveling to Huntsville, Jackson West. I'm not sure what day he wrestles, but that will be the 18th, 19th, and 20th of February.
Now,
starting Friday,
where's
Saturday.
Jackson go to school?
Charles Henderson High School. He's a junior. I think he'll be wrestling in the 152-pound class. And so
In the pros.
good luck to Jackson.
Who was the wrestling coach?
You know, I'm not real sure who he is. They have.
I'm impressed that Charles Simpson even has a wrestling program. They didn't have a wrestling program when I was coming up.
I heard. I was listening to an article. There's a TV station in the upper channels of Troy Cable, and it's out of Birmingham, and they do the play-by-play for football and basketball and all that for the state of Alabama. But they were talking about how wrestling in the South kind of took the back seat or had to be abolished. That's not a good word, but well, because of Title IX, because he had to match scholarships, so it hurt wrestling in the South.
You're right, it did.
But what they were talking about, how successful high school wrestling is in the upper part of the state of Alabama. Thompson is on the map. Hoover and all those schools, because you got so many kids, and they need things to do, but they've got a wrestler from, I believe, Thompson, who wrestles for West Virginia, and he upset and defeated some wrestler out of North Carolina, and those are some premier wrestling teams. But if you got a kid that wrestles in Division I from Alabama, you're doing something right.
Well, you're right. It was when Title IX came along, some colleges had to cancel certain men's sports to have equity between the number of scholarships between the men and the women.
You're right. And out west, the Iowa State, the Oklahoma, they have they dominate. I'm gonna have to drop off. I'll come back on in a few minutes.
Okay, Mike.
All right.
So you got 27 degrees in Troy. How cold did it get yesterday? Was the low? What was the low yesterday? 20.
I'm not.
Hey, put up your phone. Hang up your phone. Hang up your phone.
Anyway,
He hung up.
Hang up your phone.
He hung up.
he got it. but anyway, I'm not sure what the temperature was yesterday. I was outside for just a little bit doing some
Have
woodworking.
y'all been following this crazy stuff going on in Texas? 4 million people without power.
Wow.
That's not clear to me if that's 4 million people or 4 million customers, because that's a big difference. If it's some stories I read said it was 4 million customers, and if there's 3 people that live in each house that's a utility customer, that's 12 million people. But it might, either way, 4 million or 12 million, that's a lot of people that are mighty cold. I've read that maybe as many as a dozen or more people have already died, so this is life-threatening cold right here.
And of course, Troy basketball had to cancel another game against Georgia State. Georgia State has had to postpone at least 6 games, maybe 8 games, due to COVID-19 testing. So Troy is not even going to play the game at home. They were supposed to play last night.
Yeah, according to what I've got, they've got 4 games left this year. 2 at Georgia State this weekend, the men, and they play host to Coastal next weekend, and it reverses for the women. So then I've got just 4 regular season games left before they start the tournament, which is going to be March 5th through 8th in Pensacola. So I don't know if they'll reschedule it or not.
It's very strange. They could pick up some other games if they wanted to out of conference. I don't know if they'll try to do that because they have a certain amount of games you can play this year. I don't know what they'll try to do.
Where are they going to play? Aren't they going to play all the regional NCAA regionals one location, or
Indianapolis.
are they going to allow fans?
No.
Oh man, that's just going to be a bummer. Even like I went to the Troy game Saturday. I mean, even having 10-15% fans makes a big difference than no fans. Oh well.
Alabama.
Troy seems like they just kind of hit a wall. They had a hot streak. Now they've lost 3 in a row, and now having to go to Georgia State. Georgia State's actually 8-4.
Yeah.
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Even though they've hadn't played many games, so it's gonna be hard to win even one game over Atlanta.
Michael, one of the arguments that some coaches are wanting to make is why even have conference championships? Just pick the top teams in the country, let them go play, and not even chance going to a conference championship where you've got all these teams coming to one location and possibly somebody getting sick of COVID and just
hurting your chances
in the tournament.
Yeah, I can see that
I
logic.
mean, there's so many vaccines being rolled out now. I mean, is there any chance for these kids to maybe get the vaccine, at least the first shot, maybe a couple weeks before the tournament starts?
Who knows? Well, our tournament starts in March. I don't think that's soon enough to.
I actually heard Coach Oates on the Feinbaum show talk about what you just talked about for us, and he made a good point that he wants to play the tournament. He says there's so many few chances you get to win a championship in something. You can either do it in the regular season or at the conference tournament or the big dance. But what are your odds of winning the trophy in the big dance? 1 in 64, not very good, right? So he likes the fact that you can play and win a conference championship and have that trophy and title for the rest of your life. That, we were conference champions in 2021, and I was kind of neutral on the question until when he made all his arguments. I said, "Yeah, I agree with the coach."
Well, let me give you a counterpoint. Say you've got somebody like who knows that they're out of it, and their chances to win the conference tournament is whatever. And if I'm a 19-year-old kid, I'm still going to do what I want to do because we're out of it. I'm going to go to this party or whatever. Then they're not following protocol like the University of Alabama's following protocol or LSU or whoever. And I think that's the counterpoint. But I'll say this: if you have a Southeastern Conference championship, the sleepers would be Auburn and Kentucky, because they can beat if they jail and get hot. They may.
I've watched
they
a
may
little
win it
of
all.
Ole Miss. Ole Miss on a given night can look good.
So
you know how I feel about these COVID protocols. Even if a kid tests positive, he's going to be fine. I mean, there hadn't been one hospitalization that I know of or death for sure of any of these athletes.
Michael, the University of Alabama.
The issue is Alabama with Oates. He's having such a phenomenal season. Say when these blue blood jobs opens up, I mean, does Alabama lose Oates?
Maybe not. Maybe if we get that, they're talking about redoing the basketball arena, and that's still up in the air because of money right now. But if they get that facility built, and it's a Taj Mahal type facility, he may stay and try to build.
Well, let me ask you.
You went to SEC after your second year, though. That's unheard of.
Well, he'll be a hot commodity, and you know that Alabama will do what they need to do to keep him. But let's just say this: you're just probably going to win the SEC championship this year in your second year. Stay at Alabama, and you've proven you can win it. You can keep winning it. So, I mean, in other words, where's he going to go that he's going to play at a more elite? He's already proven he can win at Alabama. He'll win even bigger if he stays.
Alabama's won the most, second most victories in the SEC history in basketball. A lot of people never tell that story, but it is true. They're second behind Kentucky, way behind.
Yeah.
If a really a blue blood job came open, I'd take it, but I don't know why you would go to anywhere else. unless it's.
Well, they say Roy Williams is in his 70s now at North Carolina. The Kansas job, Bill Self, still on probation. You got some other jobs throughout the country that are possibly going to come open. So it just would be interesting to see what happens.
Well, yeah, if those came after him,
Kentucky
he would be bye-bye Coach Oates, I'm sure.
And the traveling to the Texas A&M this weekend is up in the air because of the snow and ice that they have in Texas. I don't think they've made a decision on that, but after the Texas
A&M's had COVID issues too. They hadn't played in 2 weeks.
Right, and but they play at Texas A&M. Alabama's got 5 games left. And so does Auburn. They play A&M, then they host Vandy on Saturday, then they go to Arkansas Wednesday, at Mississippi State next Saturday, and then they finish the season at home versus Auburn. And Auburn, they've got 4 games. They play Mississippi State tonight.
And then Auburn is self-imposed penalties, so they're not in the couldn't qualify for the tournament. So I guess that means they can't play in the SEC tournament, right?
I think they can play maybe the SEC tournament. I don't think they can play postseason NCAA tournament. I don't believe, but I don't think their record would have been good enough to get in the tournament anyway.
But what if they win the SEC tournament? That they take one automatic slot that could have gone to another SEC tournament team, and a team that can't even go.
Got another call.
Okay. Hello. Oh. Tell him to call back. I cut him off. Sorry. If your regular viewers know that
it's a challenge. I'm sorry.
Manning the switchboard is not one of my great talents.
Do we still have you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm on.
Good.
I'm actually on Zoom now.
Yeah, we got you.
I just thought that in the past that if you were ineligible for the NCAA tournament, then that meant you couldn't play in the SEC tournament. But I may be wrong. If that's the case, Auburn's only got 4 or 5 games left for this season.
Where is the SEC tournament?
Let me try to go on their schedule. The tournament's in Nashville.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Which would normally be a fun trip.
I have made a weekend trip to Nashville and had a great. You know what I did? I went to see, of all things, a Billy Joel concert with my beautiful wife in Nashville about 8 or 9 years ago. I researched all the hotels. I think I just got a tax refund. I said, we're going to stay at the best place in Nashville. And we did it right. And Billy Joel is one of my favorite artists, and he put on a great show. And, man, it was packed. That arena's downtown, and all the honky-tonks and bars are full. And we had fun. My wife's gone back on one of those girls' weekend trips and done Nashville too, and had a great time. Okay, let me try again.
Auburn's game.
Hold on, we're going to try to get you on. Hello, are you on? Who's on there with us?
You got Big Mike on there.
Big Mike and Little Mike.
I'm not going to.
I see that you got to push conference and then line 1, the one that's calling in first, instead of line 2.
Conference, hold conference.
Conference, hold conference.
Conference, hold conference.
But hopefully we're coming through loud and clear.
Well, today is National Random Act of Kindness Day. It's also National Cabbage Day, so eat you some coleslaw and do something randomly for somebody,
well,
something
I
nice.
tell you what, I had some cabbage soup last night that was delicious. With stew meat and tomatoes and it was beans. Put everything but the kitchen sink in there.
I was supposed to get out in the crock pot. My wife is going to make some kind of roast and put all the onions and potatoes in there with it and be heating it all day while she's at school. But
it's not too late.
Well, I need to call her right now and tell her that the crock pot is on the dryer.
We got a little vibration in there, I think.
It sounds clear this way.
But if you cook a meal in the crock pot, of the slow cooker all day on a cold day like this, and then you come home and it's ready to go for supper. That's good eating.
I bought a Boston butt from an organization, one of the churches, I believe it was Southside, and took it to the took it to the Brundage Country Club. They had a big crock pot, and before I left, I put that Boston butt in that crock pot, put a couple of bottles of barbecue sauce and a couple of Coca-Colas. And
what are you talking about?
And it slow cooked overnight, and it just fell off the bone. And that's what we gave away free sandwiches the next day. It was wonderful. Try it. Coca-Cola.
All right. I want to hear it again.
All right. Put a Boston butt in a big old crock pot. I poured a cup. I got some just regular old barbecue sauce from Piggly Wiggly, their brand. Mm-hmm. Poured that in the crock pot, and then put like 2 cans of Coca-Cola in it, and it simmered all night. And the next day, it fell off the bones, and it was swooped down. And we bought some bread, and the members and whoever played golf that day had free barbecue sandwiches. It was my gift.
Awesome.
But
you get a lot of perks when you got Forrest Lee working for you, especially in the culinary department.
But one of our workers, they said, put some Coke in it, because I needed some more juice in it to make sure to have enough juice.
Most people put like in these roasts or I think it's onion soup mix or something in there too.
Lipton soup mix.
Lipton
what
soup,
I put,
yeah.
But I done got hungry now.
Yeah, Auburn will not play in that SEC tournament. You're right.
Well, thanks for looking that up. Well, it's been a rebuilding year for Auburn. Their D1 is as great as they've been the last couple of years. You know, it was kind of a tough deal for Auburn last year. That team was coming into its own last year.
Right.
They'd almost won the national championship the year before, and they were looking like they could have competed for one last year. Right. It's a tough break.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. I want to thank our sponsors, Hook's Barbecue, out there on 231 South, Alabama Real Estate Connection. We also like to thank Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy. If you're looking for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, go visit them at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy, Alabama. And, of course, Troy Bank and Trust, the only bank you'll ever need. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Daddy, I'm right here. Hello, Miss Mary. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson Satisfaction, they really mean it.
The Jackson Satisfaction is real.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Today in L.A. I'm Forrest Lee. This is Bill Rice. And on the phone, we have Mike traveling to Birmingham, and Michael is in Grayton Beach, Florida. welcome back.
Good to be back.
Gus,
Good to be back.
is Gus Malzahn a better coach than who's the new Tennessee coach? Josh Heupel. A lot of people think that Gus Malzahn is a better fit for Central Florida than Heupel was. And then they also mentioned that maybe he might be a better coach than Scott Frost that is at Nebraska. So is this Central Florida's best coach they've ever had?
I think so. I would take Malzahn. He is not a bad football coach.
He
lost Alabama a few times more than folks wanted, you know.
Well, he beat Alabama a few times too. But
He
Travis,
beat Alabama. He was 3-5 against Alabama. The problem is he couldn't beat Georgia.
Yeah.
well, Travis Williams, who was a former linebackers coach at Auburn, who was temporarily going to Miami, now looks like he will be the defensive coordinator for the University of Central Florida. And Tennessee may be hiring one of the co-defensive coordinators from Penn State, Tim Banks.
Whatever happened to Coach Steele that left Auburn to go to Tennessee? Is he still at Tennessee?
Yeah, if he's still at Tennessee, you know, a lot of people would love to get his salary off their budget.
Well, I thought that if
$2 million.
I thought if the new coach at Tennessee wasn't keeping him, he could go and rejoin Malzahn at Central Florida.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think many people want to mess with that salary unless they give him a pay cut, a big pay cut.
Well, Gus Malzahn, his contract is 5 years, $11.5 million, averaging about $2.3 million a year at Central Florida. And
I'm sure there's a lot of bonuses and things like that in there too, you know, that he'll be able to take advantage of. I tell you what, Central Florida got a good football coach.
You know, it's interesting.
The wise boys that walk across the street now won't agree with me. But you know, I love to hear their opinion.
Yep.
But
they opened the season against Boise State too. Brian Hartson's whole team. The Boise State, Central Florida. That'll be an interesting game.
Oh yeah, sure.
My take on Malzahn is if he has a quarterback that can run the ball and throw it a little bit, watch out. He was just scary good when he had Marshall and Cam. So I guess he'll go back to that offense, which will be different from Central Florida, which is a pass-happy offense.
I'll tell you right now, I'll take Central Florida over Boise right now. They'll beat Boise by 2 touchdowns.
Are they playing them in Boise or in Florida?
It's a faster game at Central Florida, a much faster game.
So he is playing.
Think how easy it is to recruit.
He's playing the program that made famous his successor at Auburn. So that'll be interesting.
Well, let me tell you something. At one time, you had Miami, you had Florida State, and you know those two, Miami and Florida State. Central Florida and state Central Florida in the middle of the state. They're gonna get a lot of those good football players that used to go to Miami, used to go to Florida State, and used to go to Florida. And they're just so. Somebody told me one time that the state of Florida, with Division I talent, can field every roster in the nation with good athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after Boise, they play at Louisville, and then they play host to University of Connecticut, and then they'll play the regular season. Then it's Cincinnati. They'll play Navy, SMU, Temple, East Carolina, Memphis, Tulane, and the University of South Florida.
So he's going to have to hustle because, I mean, he got hired and they got spring training right around the corner.
I'm going to tell you somebody else Alabama and Auburn is going to take off their schedule. UAB. I guarantee you they'll because UAB will be able to beat them. So they
UAB will never play Alabama because they're the same board of trustees.
Well, I know Auburn, though. Auburn's not going to want to play UAB. UAB's program is really moving fast up the ladder.
As long as they keep Bill Clark.
I would say out of five, I would say UAB is in the top five of the teams that are on go to have a great football program.
They were comparing him
they
to.
totally passed Troy's program, don't you think?
Oh yeah, there's no question. There's no question.
Yeah.
And we'll be having a hard time scheduling them probably.
They're comparing it to the rise of Florida State when Bobby Bowden went to Florida State. That they feel like UAB may rise.
No, I'm going to differ from my esteemed colleagues on this. I think if they lose Bill Clark, I think UAB will be right back where they were. Happy to have 15,000 people at a game and no media attention whatsoever, and just bleeding money.
Don't they host about 47,000 in that stadium? Going to be about 45, 47?
Yeah, and they'll probably have
47,000.
They'll probably have pretty good.
They'll fill that stadium just to have a place to go.
That first year with the novelty of the stadium, and Coach Clark being there, they'll do well this year. But let's see if they can sustain it.
Well, see, they've already built the entertainment district, so that's already there. You got the Top Golf, you got all the restaurants, you got all the bars. I mean, it's going to be like the place to be in Birmingham now.
I think you can call your brother over the.
Crime is always an issue. You got to deal with crime.
I think you could, Bill, you could get on the phone and call your brother Bobby over at the Messenger, and he would say the same thing about UAB. The Rices just don't like UAB, never like UAB, and never will like UAB.
You're right there.
All right.
I really don't. It all goes back to Gene Bartow said some things about Coach Bryant that were almost slanderous and libelous and ridiculous. But yeah, there's always been bad blood between UAB and Tuscaloosa. But that program, I always look at history. I'm a historian. History will predict the future. And there's just indifference and apathy. When there's a big game in the state, who's the attention of the state? Who do people want to watch? It's Alabama and Auburn. UAB, the students, they say they really are passionate about UAB football. No, they're not. Even the alumni, they got a big boost when they came back from the dead, and they've apparently got a great coach. But let's see what happens if this coach leaves or if he loses his mojo. But for right now, they are doing well.
Hey, Michael, what great American left his home in Brooklyn and came south and never went back?
Nick Severa.
Nick Severa. Yeah.
Nick Severa. You're exactly right. You get a cup of coffee, they tell us that he.
I want people. I've got an article coming out in the Troy Life magazine on the transformation of the Troy campus over the last 30 years. All the new buildings and the beautification and landscaping that's just made it Alabama's most beautiful campus. That's what they're marketing it at. But I interviewed Nick. I interviewed Nick for that story, Mike, and he gave me some great quotes. And he told me that he came to Troy in the spring of 1961. And he could name every building that was on campus then. There was only like 10 or 11 buildings. And he talked about the architectural style of the buildings. There was no consistency to them. There were a couple of old, pretty buildings, but then there were some modern, really not that attractive buildings. And so he could contrast what Troy University looked like in March 1961 to March 2021. Now, right now, the campus isn't going to look particularly pretty just because of the winter, but you give it about 2 months, and I defy anybody to find me a prettier campus in the state of Alabama.
Well,
but you know, I like the green grass. You know, the overseas grass. It won't be there very long, but it sure is pretty now. You know.
Are you talking about the ryegrass?
Yeah, the ryegrass.
Well, you know.
We owe a lot to Miss Adams.
Miss Hawkins.
Miss Adams was here, but more than anybody, we owe a lot to Miss Janice Hawkins. She has great taste, and she has great vision, and it's paid off in big ways.
Yeah, I interviewed Mrs. Hawkins, and everybody said that she was the spearheaded this transformation, and it's just kind of taking place slowly. You know, one project beget another project, and so you get momentum and good reviews from one project, and then you say, well, let's do another project and let's make it just as good as the last one.
Well, I'll tell you this project, with athletics, is probably going to be the indoor facility. But where they put the indoor facility is going to have a huge to do with the aesthetic part of it, the way it looks, and where they put it is going to be very important.
Where do you think they ought to put it?
I think they ought to put it behind the stadium.
I think they need to put it on down. You know, they have a storage facility, a nice storage facility out there. I think they need to put it in that general area.
Somebody off the record told me, we were just speculating about next projects, and everybody agrees that the indoor practice facility is a priority. And he said that he would think the best place would be put it right there on the practice field, right there next to the football locker room, that new north end zone project. And he said it would be.
You had a beautiful, beautiful look that they've already got. I mean, that is a gorgeous look that you would be putting that building in front of.
Well, that's true, but it is kind of low, and because what you're talking about is you'd ruin that, maybe ruin that impressive look back at Trojan Arena.
Yeah, that's right.
But this person said they thought that the practice facility would be low enough and close enough to the locker room in the north end zone that it wouldn't obstruct that view very much. But and it would be super convenient for the team.
They'll find a nice place to put it in.
Build a new National Guard armory and put it there.
That's what I was wanting.
And then just go across. There you go.
Troy needs that armory.
And then you can have a ramp above high. The players can come out of the practice facility and they'll walk the big ramp over the George Wallace Drive into the stadium, and then we'll go down like Clemson does, kind of. We'll come through the stands.
You're right.
That's the Trojan walk before the game.
That's what they do at Montgomery Academy on Vaughn Road and Zelda Road, that walkway. The students park across the street, but they all have to take that walkway that gets them across Vaughn Road.
My guess that armory's been there quite a while and moved them and the state trooper office out to the bypass or out there to Oak Park area over there behind Publix, and let's rock and roll right there.
Let's put them at the bottom of Crow Hill. We got some property right there.
Well, in my reporting on this campus transformation, which has several sidebars, I did interview a lot of people. That was several people I talked to said that that they would love for that to happen. It's been discussed for years, making it do some kind of swap of land, but it makes sense for Troy University to get that land. And other point I made, and I'll make it here on the air for people in China to hear. The Charles Henderson High School campus is not exactly a garden spot, but it could be very, very pretty if you did a significant landscaping job on those hills going up to the buildings and maybe closed up some of that lower parking lot. Let somebody make terraces, fountains, plant trees, gardens. Let the students take care of it, maybe as a landscaping project. And then you would have a beautiful Charles Henderson High campus that complements the beautiful Troy University campus right across the street.
All right, hold that thought. You've got so many different buildings at Charles Henderson High School. You need a couple of brand new, state-of-the-art buildings or building, because some of those buildings are multiple years old and are RUGHROU are rough. But going back to Troy University, the most significant lately aesthetically is the golf course, putting in all those football athletic practice fields down there.
Filling up that gully, yeah.
The big sidewalks, and my guess is when you keep going, go back toward the lagoon. Once they get that lagoon all cleaned up and aesthetic and maybe clean out just a few of those trees, then all the way back to the old alumni hall.
New hall. No, Rushing Hall is what it's called.
Rushing Hall now. Then you'd be complete right in there, and it's coming. And
oh yeah, they're slowly improving the lagoon area back towards the International Arts Cultural Center now. The area from Janice Hawkins Cultural Arts Park back to Sherrill Chapel, behind the little pond at the amphitheater. Areas that were once eyesores are now spots of beauty, and then they're adding trails. And
I think we all need to go back to college and get some extra degree. I mean, Troy University.
Troy doesn't have any of the big parking decks. I mean, the big 4-story parking decks. I feel like they need to build some parking decks for growth.
They've we talked about that, and they are so much into the aesthetics and the beauty that they think the parking decks would distract from that, and I agree with them.
The Lee Natatorium, they're making that into.
I feel like you got to have it though if you want to grow for the future.
Maybe.
A sad thing about the Natatorium, I hear is the next building to be demolished.
Yeah, any in a couple of weeks.
Aren't they putting like recycling programs or the study of plastics or engineering? There's
they
something.
are building a building to do that, but I don't know if that's on the campus or not, or it might be out there by KW Plastics.
Right.
But there's some cooperation between Troy University and KW Plastics to do research into plastic recycling.
But I forgot what's going up at Lee Natatorium, but it's coming down.
Well, I can tell you, since I've been playing roving reporter, they're going to tear down the Natatorium in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be green space. They're not going to, right now, they're not going to do anything. Also, the two dorms going back towards the football stadium, where Eldridge Hall, I think, where the medical clinic used to be.
Yes. Shackelford.
There's two little dorms that are eyesores and outdated. Those are going to be raised too. It's no date set, but those dorms are really behind.
Hamill Hall and
Eldridge Hall, maybe.
Well, there's Hamill, Gardner, there's Cowarts, Shackelford.
Those are the dorms that are going back. They're really kind of behind the Natatorium, going towards the stadium and over towards the front of the Adams Center. But those dorms are going to be raised. They want to do more work on the lagoon area. And Miss Hawkins told me that she would love to, Mike, tell me what you think about this, do some kind of prominent entranceway, gateway at the intersection of Highway 231 and George Wallace Drive to let people know that this is the main entrance in the Troy University. Can't miss it. Maybe even some kind of archway over, but clean up that area and have some new signage so anybody traveling down 231 will know I turn left or right here. I'm
well, you
going
got that big power station right there, and that would go into that restaurant and Sonic, because you'd have to do some major. But George Wallace Drive needs widening or something. But it's like a NASCAR race.
On the bypass, that how you see a lot of these big green signs, in major areas of the state, they need one of those green signs dictating where Troy is.
Miss Hawkins said that she's surprised at the number of people that have never been to Troy before that don't know how to get to the campus.
Yeah, I mean, people just drive through 231 and never turn. Nobody ever sees it. All these fellas can tell everybody, you got to go look at the university. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You can take a little quick trip and see a beautiful campus. You're right.
It's almost like Troy.
A lot of people don't realize that Troy's the home of the National Band Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's a great honor. That's John Phillips, all the great band directors. If they want to be in the Hall of Fame, they have to come to Troy.
And we probably take for granted already those replicas of the Terracotta Warriors, but in doing my research, that is the only terracotta water replicas outside the nation of China, and the original terracotta waters in China are considered the 8th wonder of the world. So for Troy to have those is really neat.
Yeah, we went to that when we visited China, and it really was spectacular.
Well, in Troy University, baseball kicks off this weekend, and the women of Troy, the softball team, are hosting a big tournament. Well, actually tonight, the Troy softball ladies are hosting Liberty first pitch at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Cold.
Oh man, that's gonna be a beautiful game. Baseball is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Troy has 5 guys on the preseason All Sun Belt team. That's 5 guys. That's more than any other team in the Sun Belt Conference, and they are picked 4th in the Eastern Division. So you talking about a slap in the face to these baseball players and Coach Smart. They're 4th just in the East. So, if these guys can't get motivated by this, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I love it.
Smart. He's got to be loving this.
Yeah, first pitch. First
gonna be good. I mean, on paper they really look good.
Well,
how do you have 5 guys all preseason, more than anybody, and you're 4th in your division?
I'll tell you. I'll speculate. The answer is that none of those 5 are pitchers. They must think that Troy's not going to have the pitching.
And I will tell you this too. I will tell you
one of them is a pitcher.
Well, I'll stand corrected then.
Well, one of them, I tell you what, the conference is strong too. I mean, this is a strong conference Troy game.
They are. Yeah. Let's see. They open up this Friday, 6 p.m. Riddle Pace Field against Youngstown State, a 4-game series starting Friday, and the women will host today to Liberty at 2 p.m. and the Troy Lady Softball Invitational is this weekend. Friday they'll play a doubleheader against Austin Peay and Mercer starting at 2. And they also play in the tournaments Western Carolina. So it's Austin Peay, Mercer, and Western Carolina, and Troy University in the Troy Invitational
maybe
softball.
They'll get a little warmer weather this weekend. But boy, they got off. You couldn't get off to a better start than they got off.
Yeah, you tell them to have plenty of hot chocolate and coffee.
And hand warmers. And a bonnet.
Hey, one more point on Troy beautification that viewers might be interested in. In speaking to Mrs. Hawkins in future possible plans, she mentioned to me that a benefactor of the university gifted plans from an unbuilt Frank Lloyd Wright home. That Frank Lloyd Wright, the most famous architect in America, he donated. He had made these plans for a home, and the home was never built before he died, and it's still never been built. And Troy now has those plans. And Miss Hawkins hopes that they can build that house back there on McKinley Drive, right beyond in that little gravel parking lot between Sorrell Chapel and the amphitheater. And she thinks, and other people think, that would be quite a tourist attraction.
Sure would.
Frank Lloyd Wright home, and it could be used for any number of purposes. But I thought that was news right there. Now, there's no firm plans to build it.
Do they plan on living in there?
No, it would probably be used for like a visiting faculty residence or receptions or.
Well, the former home has not been updated lately, has it?
No, it has. It has. A couple of years
President Adams
ago,
used to live. Yeah.
it was renovated. I understand it was long in need of renovation, and then they just recently painted it. It's now white.
And I think it looks good. I think the mansion looks good, and I think they use it periodically.
How old is that house, Dad?
Oh gosh, I'll tell you exactly. Dr. I'm trying to think of the president. That was
Ralph Adams.
Not before him.
Adams lived there the whole time.
No, I know he lived there the whole time. Probably 62 or 63 is when they built that house. 62 or 63.
I think that's about right.
I always thought that house was older. I didn't realize it was only in the 60s.
Yeah, but it's outdated. It's no question about it being outdated. But at the same time, it's pretty inside, and they use it for a lot of different functions. And I think they probably let some of the visiting people stay there. When they come.
All right, the next question is, how old is Dr. Hawkins? About 70?
He's older than 70, 75, about 75.
Yeah, Vietnam veteran, multiple years in the service.
He came to
Who's
Troy.
going to fill those shoes?
He came to Troy in 1990. I think they announced his hiring in 1989, and then he started serving in 1990. So he's been here about 31 years, which is amazing because Dr. Adams was in Troy for 25 years before him. So Troy
they could have gone anywhere and tried to get anybody, but they could not have made a better move. When Dr. Doug Hawkins, decided that he was going to go get this guy from Talladega College, Talladega School for the Deaf and Blind, and he had just been tremendous, a tremendous chancellor.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like you had a quote in my story, Mike. You said that first he made the move to Division I, but now we've got a campus that looks like a Division I campus.
That's right, yeah.
And that's so important for recruiting students and for alumni pride. The alumni are the ones that are going to give you the gifts that make sure your future is bright. And so, and then I also learned in my research that if Buddy Starlin and his team can get students to visit the campus, that 75 to 80% of them that visit the campus choose to come to Troy. So it's just, and then most of them say that first impression that they form within a couple of minutes is really what influences them and makes them decide to come to Troy. And what forms that first impression is the appearance of
the beauty.
Put a star next to Buddy's name. He has done a super job bringing in great students.
He loves Troy and is a great leader, and he's like so many of the people at Troy University. He's been in his position so long, and then the fact that Dr. Hawkins and Mrs. Hawkins have been here 35 years, that allows long-term planning and visions to be realized.
Yeah.
He's got a great team.
Of course, Ralph Adams and his wife, they were great people at Troy prior to Dr. Hawkins. And I tell you, you can just write a book on what greatness the Hawkins have done for Troy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to take another break. We'd like to thank Goldfingers, some of the best chicken in the state of Alabama, if not the Southeast. I'd like to thank them for being a sponsor. Town and Country, located on 3 Knott Street. For all your flooring needs, visit Town and Country. And we'll be back in just a few moments.
Never know how Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you were out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Daddy, I'm right here. Hello, Miss Mary. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Other people, and I mentioned that idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back live on Today in L.A. I'm Forrest Lee, and this is Bill Rice. And on the phone, we have Michael Amos calling from Grayton Beach, Florida. Welcome back, Mike.
Morning. I was talking during the break, we're talking about, future expansion of Troy University, and, we talked about a convention center / hotel. I used to manage the Bryan Conference Center in Tuscaloosa. And of course, we had the Capstone Hotel attached to us, and that was a huge, place to have events. And of course, football team stayed at the Capstone Hotel, and we had the team in for breakfast and dinners before games, and then of course you could rent out all those different spaces for various events throughout the community, and of course, proms and fraternity and sorority parties, all kinds of different things. I wonder if they'll ever look into something like that.
I love that idea, and I mentioned it to the movers and shakers I interviewed, and I said this is a Michael Amos and Mike Amos idea, but I like it to do. Alabama has one, Auburn has one, right there on campus. Plus, everybody says that Troy needs more hotel rooms.
Well, what you could do also, build it big enough where the Adams Center or the Student Center, the Trojan Center, can be revamped into something else. Because upstairs they have a couple of banquet rooms, but a lot of times with the growth of the university, some of the organizations, that's too small a place to use. They have to go to the Calvin's complex or something. So if you build it big enough that it will host bigger events, it would keep things on campus.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's always a project, and right now they are renovating the ballrooms at the Adams Center, and they're doing other things at the Adams Center, but the main thing is beautifying those ballrooms. And everybody watching this show has been to just countless events in those ballrooms. And I understand that they really weren't up to the standards of other colleges for conferences and symposiums and whatever, but pretty soon now, it should be a big improvement.
Well, if you go upstairs again, there's a lot of dead space where there used to be like a lounge area, and we used to pack that place. But that's really not that's not utilized as much.
I used
today.
To go there. People used to go up there and take naps and study, cram for tests. I did.
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid growing up, I felt bad for the people that worked there, because when we were in junior high, our parents dropped us off there because they had the bowling alley, and we ran around like we were just like we owned the place. Right. That's where we hung out growing up.
I did too, Michael. And they had a game room in there that was nice. This predates Michael, but we played at the game room. But they could let you, your parents could let you off there, and you could play basketball over there on those tennis courts, handball. You could go up and play golf or putt at Trojan Oaks.
Is there even a
You
place
could
to
go
play
and
ping pong
you could
anymore?
go on the practice field or Memorial Stadium and play touch football, and then you could sneak in Sartain Hall very easily. We always figured out how to get in the doors.
Yeah,
And
go through that window. Yeah.
There were all types of times where we were playing great pickup basketball games on the same court that the Trojans used.
There's a, you just, I don't even know
Or
if
you
there's a table tennis
you
place.
could have gone to the natatorium and swam.
Yeah. There's no Olympic-sized pool on Troy's campus anymore.
Well, that is true.
When they closed that down, they got a little wading pool.
But they have one at the rec center.
A new small one. It's very small. I think it's maybe 3 to 4 feet deep. It's not very big at all. You can't do laps.
That rec center is really good looking from the road. I've never been in there yet.
I haven't either.
Yeah, everything they have done is just really beautiful architecturally. That rec center is nice. Trojan Arena is beautiful, an arena as you'll find in America for its size. The Hawkins Education Building, Rushing Hall, the dining facility is really cool.
Well, on a regular, when things get back to normal, whenever that will be, to find a place to park at Troy University is still going to be a nightmare, I think, for students. But now, since they're doing online stuff, and they may go more online.
Well, you notice the parking they have moved it, and this is intentional by the designers. They move it to the exterior. So you think around Trojan Arena and the Adams Center, and so it's not as conspicuous and it's not an eyesore, but you're still close enough where you can walk. The whole thing they want is it to be a pedestrian-friendly campus. So that's why you've had all these sidewalk projects, while you've had all these lighting projects, lampposts and
circular.
But the students can park on the edge and walk anywhere they need to walk. And you have plenty of green space, garden space, hanging flowers, roundabouts, dorm. A lot more people live on campus than did in yesteryear.
Is there any way they can build some kind of lighted trail to downtown Troy and back to campus?
That's been that's talked about.
Would that be possible?
The people I interviewed mentioned that the city of Troy and Troy University want students to be able to walk in a safe manner from the campus to downtown Troy, which I think you can do, because now they've got sidewalks, but I think they would like to beautify that route, and they're constantly adding lighting, and safety is a big initiative for, that's so important to the students and their parents.
I mean, you went to University of Alabama. I mean, of course, everybody partied on the Strip, and now you can actually leave the Strip and make it to downtown pretty easily. And it's, a lot of lighted sidewalks. You got a lot of different ways to get there. And it really opens up downtown. Downtown Tuscaloosa is beautiful. And downtown Troy is really pretty, too. So that'd be a great idea.
They're revamping downtown Troy continuously. I mean, people are going in.
Well, and then Troy bought the old First Alabama Regions Bank building and has been in it a while. So that's kind of one of the anchors of the square. But I would expect to see more beautification projects tying in downtown Troy to the campus. And you also got to remember there's a lot of students, not a lot, but a certain percentage that do not have vehicles and can only, especially our international students. So that's important to them.
Yeah, they walk to Publix.
Do they really?
They do. I've seen people walking, toting bags of groceries. And I'm sure they have, Troy University has a shuttle to Walmart and other places. But, there's...
Well, that's a dangerous road to cross. They cross 231?
I've seen them do it before. I saw 2 guys a couple of days ago going across on skateboards and roller skates. Not me.
Well, I know Troy doesn't have a movie theater anymore. I wonder if you could ever build a movie theater near campus. That seems like that would be a win-win, having students that live on campus year-round, that you'd always have people going to movies.
Hello.
We used to have movies at Smith Hall I call it Smith Hall. I guess it's called, is it Adams? What's the name of Smith Hall now? Is it still Smith Hall? Where they have...
oh, you have the Claudia Crosby Theater?
Right. Well, that's Claudia Crosby. That's where we used to have movies when I was on campus. And we used to have concerts all the time.
You know, I mentioned that to them.
We used to have concerts.
And I've done stories on all the great concerts that have been held in Troy at Sartain Hall.
Yes.
But I said, why can't we have big concerts at Trojan Arena or even in the football stadium?
Yeah. You want to make money, there you go. If you need money, I'm
Especially
sure
outdoor
we all
concerts.
do. And you could control the traffic, park somewhere, we'll shuttle you to the event and back and forth. And
you've got the amphitheater.
You can have Kid Rock and Hank Jr.
Good gracious.
Why not? Kid Rock and Hank Jr., I bet, would play a concert at Veterans Memorial Stadium.
You could do an outdoor.
And get some of their friends to show up, and you'd have a an all-day event, and bring in 30,000 people to Troy. I say do it.
Oh, easily could bring in 30,000.
You could do a big stage outdoors at one of those football practice fields, and you can have a huge outdoor event.
I mean, the guy built Bama Jam and a bunch of cow pastures right in front of Enterprise. I mean, I mean, if you can have 100,000 people for an event like that, you can easily fill out, Memorial Stadium for 30,000.
You know, we're talking about our ideas. I might as well throw out another one. I mentioned my Beautify the Charles Henderson campus idea. I've always thought you could build a really pretty amphitheater up in North Pike County, somewhere near Lockheed Martin or, off 231. Be real accessible to people from Montgomery, Fort Rucker, Auburn, Troy. Seat about 10, 12,000 people, but I think you could get all the big acts that play these amphitheater circuits. Now they play, Oak Mountain Amphitheater in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa gets a lot of them.
Tuscaloosa Amphitheater is incredible.
But they could do that somewhere in Pike County and then make a nice lodge where maybe the acts could stay, give them an incentive to come. And that would bring in people from, an hour and a half radius. And it would be I just think you could have a beautiful setting somewhere of all those hills and pretty land. You could also build a beautiful golf course somewhere back in there.
We need a golf course.
Yeah, a golf course would be gorgeous up there. You're right. They could do that. The new distillery, the Clyde May Distillery they're building in Troy, they could do a little amphitheater around that property where you could maybe have at least 1,000 people and have live country music and stuff like that from time to time.
But I think
COVID is taking care of all of it. There's nothing with COVID now.
Oh, Will.
We didn't know you got on here. We thought that was.
I've
been listening.
Okay, we didn't know you.
Hey, we're talking about all our ideas. Our vision. If we only had Bill Gates' money.
You got to win that lottery. You got to play that.
Well, you're right about COVID, but and I feel for the people in the music industry or actors and the Broadway people. I mean, their lives have to have been devastated. But outdoor concerts, I don't see any reason why you couldn't have outdoor concerts.
Well, they've all been eliminated.
Well, you went to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt campus really can expand. We're talking about Troy University future expansion, growth. Like at Vandy, I've been to that campus several times. I walked around. There's really nowhere else to build at Vandy.
That's right. It's landlocked, and Michael, I doubt they've got 10,000 students in the whole school. All the med school, law school, all the schools put together, 10,000 at the most.
But the entertainment district has moved next to Vandy's campus. So many great places to go to, restaurants, bars. I mean, it's incredible where you can walk to when you stay there. It's great.
Right. It's Nashville's so much different. When I went to school there, it's ridiculous.
My father-in-law went to Vandy, and I remember he was miserable there. Is what my wife had told me back in the 70s.
Well, I went during the 70s, and but I mean, I played golf, so we were going on trips all the time,
Yeah.
Back then, now I don't know how it is now, but back then we played in 4 tournaments in the fall and 8 tournaments in the spring. And we'd be gone all the time.
Where was y'all's home court where you played and practiced in Nashville?
Bell Mead Country Club in Nashville. Very nice. Probably the most exclusive country club in Nashville. Now they got their own course. Vanderbilt built their own course when they won the national championship. Some guy gave them $10 million, so they just built their own golf course. They've got state of the art everything.
Wow.
Everything named after Brant Snedeker, the Vandy golfer.
Yeah, Brant. Now Brant, I used to give Vanderbilt every year. I gave Vanderbilt $1,000 every year. From the time I left school there, I donated $1,000 to the golf program every year. Well, Brant won the tournament in Atlanta. He got $10 million, and he gave $1 million to Vanderbilt golf program, and that's the day I quit giving them $1,000.
Yeah.
They didn't need my money anymore.
Well, it's like Jerry Pate's given, I guess, a little money, or probably gotten back a lot by building. He's given some money to them, and they've also given some money back to him for his golf architect services.
Auburn Mississippi State basketball game has gotten moved till Thursday night due to weather.
Did you ever play golf against or with Jerry Pate?
In fact, when I was a freshman, he was a senior, and I played the first 2 days. I played against Jerry Pate and Andy Bean. Jerry was #1 player at Alabama. Andy Bean #1 player at Florida. They were both seniors, and I beat Jerry Pate by 20 strokes in 2 rounds.
Wow.
He did not even want to be there. He shot a 79 and an 80.
Oh my God!
And he didn't even want to be and it was at the Olympia Spa in Dothan, Alabama. That's where the SEC was that year, my freshman year.
So you were playing #1 for Vandy already as a freshman?
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. I was all SEC 3 of the 4 years I was there.
How many times did you play that course though in Dothan though? You probably grew up playing that, didn't you?
Yeah, I played it a bunch of times.
Why did you go to Vanderbilt? Who else did you consider?
They wanted to go to Auburn. We've heard the story.
Oh.
Yeah, I had 40 scholarship offers all over the country, and I wanted to go to Auburn, and the coach at Auburn did not offer me a scholarship. He said, "Your dad's a lawyer; he can afford to pay it. I need the scholarship." And it pissed me off to the least. And from then on, I always, anytime we were in tournaments with Auburn, I bore down extra hard to beat all them, you know. And but that's the way it goes. But there were 10 teams in the SEC back then. I had 8 offers out of the 10 teams.
Well,
Auburn was one of the 2 that didn't offer.
Will, did you ever go to Q schools to try to make the tour?
No, I tell you, there was a guy, and he's still alive. He's in a nursing home in Abbeville. His name's Lindy Money. Well, Lindy Money put Mobley on the tour, and he put somebody else on the tour. I think the Beck boy from Geneva, and he wanted to sponsor me, you know, on a percentage deal, and I went to law school instead. You know, back then there wasn't any money, Michael.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
I mean, the 60th money winner made maybe $50,000 a year.
Wow.
So I ended up going to law school, and you know, so I never really. And I played big time amateur golf till I was about 40. I played New York. I played California. I played in a lot of big amateur tournaments, but I only made the U.S. Amateur 1 time.
Man, it's tough.
I tried to qualify for it probably 10 times.
Where was it held? The U.S. Amateur when you qualified?
Philadelphia, and it was at Aronimink, and it was down below Philadelphia. And what's funny, I qualified. Back then, they probably did the same way now. The top 64 made match play. I tied for like 60 with about 5 or 6 guys, or it was more than the 64. So we had a playoff to see who got to play match play. And there was like 7 of us for 6 spots, which was, a good deal. And I birdied the first hole, so I got in the tournament. And the other 6, they played several holes before they got down to, somebody was eliminated. But I think there were maybe 2 spots eliminated and 5 got in. But anyway, so I'm playing the guy who's the medalist, and I'm thinking, well, my tournament's over. And that guy, in 18 holes, I beat him 6 and 5. He never made a par. I mean, the guy went to pieces. I've never seen anything like it, But I won 2 matches and I lost in the 3rd match.
Well, that's awesome.
That's the only time I ever made the tournament.
Well, so you not only made the match play, but you won your first 2 matches. So that got you.
I won my first 2 matches.
You got to the final 16. It seems like, or 32.
If I'd have won 2 more, I'd have got to the Masters. Back then, they took 4 to the Masters, the last 4.
Do you think the technology of today, you think that would have made you a better golfer, or you think the technology you had when you played, you were still going to be better than the guys you played against?
Michael, if I had the stuff I had today against people with the old stuff, I'd be a dominant. It's ridiculous how it is.
So I mean, you would have been what back in the 70s, like 270 off the tee?
250, 260, something along in there. But I was a big hitter, But
we have a local kid from Charles Simpson High School, Braden Presswood, who's supposed to be playing today, I think, in the Dothan area. Whether or not they're playing or not, but he's our lone golfer at Charles Simpson. He's a 9th grader, Braden Presswood. If you look to him,
They got one kid on the team.
One kid, and I don't have, but that's how it goes right now. And
that's unbelievable.
But he's a 9th grader, and his first match is scheduled for today, and we got another gentleman.
I guarantee you that Will, I'm thinking about his story. If you came out today, Will, with all the money that's on that tour, you wouldn't have gone to law school. You would have given it a shot.
oh yeah, there's no question.
Oh, anybody would have. Yeah.
Anybody would have, back then.
I mean, back then they probably played 12 tournaments a year, maybe. I mean, they play a year back then.
No, PGA.
I had more than that.
They probably played 30.
Okay.
But Michael, if you won, you got $15,000.
Yeah. I'll tell you how the money was so low. The great Jack Nicklaus, and Will back me up on this, was a dominant amateur player. I think he won 2 U.S. amateurs.
He did.
And he almost didn't play pro golf because, I mean, he finally decided to play it, but it wasn't a done deal that he would even try to play pro golf.
Arnold Palmer talked him into playing pro golf. He didn't want to play pro golf.
Yeah. What about your thoughts on the rangefinder issue?
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
That's the caddies have they use the rangefinders to get the distances, so they get them before the tournament, so they know where from every spot what they're looking at. So it's no big deal. It'll probably speed up play. That's probably why they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I still understand though. Why are they going to do it for a major? They're going to do it for the majors that experiment it like for the PGA. Plus, you just experiment that with for like a regular tour event.
They're going to wind up the PGA Tour will wind up doing it too.
Hey, I want to hear your story about how Arnold Palmer convinced Jack Nicklaus to go pro.
All right. Well, it's very simple. Nicklaus played as an amateur in the U.S. Open in 1960. Okay. Palmer won the tournament. It was in Cherry Hill, Colorado, outside of Denver. Okay? And Nicklaus came in 3rd or 4th, and that was when Ben Hogan and Palmer had a duel, and Hogan hit it in the water on the 16th hole and lost by 1 stroke to Arnold. And Arnold shot a 65 the last day. Won the tournament. Well, he told Jack Nicklaus, he said, the only way you're ever going to know if you're a great golfer is to play on the PGA Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jack Nicklaus decided the next year he would start playing, and he won the U.S. Open in Oakmont and beat Palmer the next year and won the U.S. Open, and then it was off and running then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were actually very good friends. You'd think they were like up against each other. You know,
I always thought that they were kind of had this rivalry early on, but then they later mended fences and became real tight friends. But you're saying they were friends all along?
Oh yeah, they were always friends. Yeah, they were always friends.
Two of my favorites.
Did Player always live in South Africa and travel over here to play events?
Yes. Oh yeah. They said he's traveled several million miles in his lifetime.
That's amazing. He never had residence over here.
Nope. And he still does.
No, he played everywhere in the world. That's what he was famous for. I mean, he I don't know how he did it back then. And gosh, he's taken
probably one of the most fit guys.
The greatest golfer from Alabama ever, I guess, is considered what? Hubert Green, Forrest Majors?
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Who do you think was better, Hubert Green or Page?
Oh, well, Hubert Green had a better career because Pate got hurt when he was about 27 or 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had already won the U.S. Open and he had won the Players. Pate.
He won the Players, he won the U.S. Open, he won the U.S. Amateur, you know, which was a big tournament back then. And
but those are your top two, aren't they?
Jerry hit a root somewhere, and it shattered his wrist, and he was never the same ever since.
Wow.
You know.
Well,
in fact, I think he tried the Champions Tour there for a little while and never did anything. I think he won one tournament.
Yeah, I think he was in contention for one of the majors and lost, but. You're right. I followed him closely because he went to Alabama, and he it seems like after he hit 30, he was always battling back and shoulder and wrist injuries, and just never
could.
Was
good TV. He was good TV personality.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. He's a golf course architect, but he also has a company that provides services and supplies for greenskeepers and
he does irrigation, and he makes a pile of money. It's out of Pensacola, and it's called Jerry Pate Turf and Irrigation. And when we were building the course in Ozark, the new course in Ozark, we used them, and they did a fabulous job on it.
I've met his little brother that helps run that operation. He couldn't be nicer. Anyway, he was doing a redesign of Montgomery Country Club, where my brother Rush is a member. And Rush was on the committee that was in charge of that renovation, and he said, well, Jerry called me up and said, Jerry Pate's here, checking out the progress of and he said, I've told him that you're a writer for the Montgomery Independent, and he said, come on out there and he'll talk to you while he's making the rounds, checking out the progress on the. So I rode in a cart with him for about an hour, talking to him while he, marked up.
Jerry's last win when he was probably 28 years old. I mean, his career ended, whatever.
Right.
Prematurely.
Yeah. We got about a minute or so left, and before we leave, I want to mention tune in to Channel 2 this afternoon. Pike Liberal Arts will play Tuscaloosa Academy for the AAA Alabama Independent School Association Basketball Championship. Tip-off is at 2:30. Join us live here. Also, Troy Women plays host today against Liberty, and I hope you have a good day. We've got about a minute left. I'll let y'all close, Mr. Will and Michael and Bill.
Well, congratulations. I mean, good luck, Patriots. I mean, they're probably the underdog. Tuscaloosa Academy, I don't think they've lost one game.
They won the championship last year, too.
Yeah,
so
this will be a rematch.
From last year.
But I don't think Pike Liberal Arts is afraid of them. If anybody can beat them, it's Pike Liberal Arts. So, yeah. And thank you, Troy Cable, for televising the game.
Right.
So that game will be on Facebook as well for people that want to watch it?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
well, y'all go ahead and wrap it up. Appreciate it.
We'll hope hope you have a good morning and afternoon, and thank you for joining us today live with Today in LA with Forrest Lee. This is Bill Rice, and thank you for tuning in, Will and Michael. Have a good day in Florida, and I know your daddy's off there, but hope everything goes well in Birmingham, and we'll see you tomorrow bright and early on Today in LA. Thank you for joining us.